It's official, we've announced the lineup for Kansas City Film Fest International in 2024. I am so excited to get the chance to watch all of these amazing films together with everybody in the movie theater, and I want to extend a huge round of applause to all of the filmmakers who had their work selected for this year's festival. In this video, I'll highlight some of the movies that you can look forward to screening with us next month, which as a reminder is at AMC Ward Parkway 14 from April 11th to 14th. Let's start out with some of the narrative features. First up, we've got a movie that just broke the record for the most views on a movie trailer for any streaming original film, and that is The Idea of You. Now, I say streaming original because you could wait until it comes out on Prime Video, or you could be the envy of all of your friends and watch it early with us. This rom-com stars Anne Hathaway as a single mom who takes her daughter to Coachella, where she strikes up an unlikely romance with a younger guy who happens to be the lead singer in a boy band. The Idea of You is directed by Michael Showalter, who also directed Wet Hot American Summer and The Big Sick. It got a warm reception at South by Southwest and currently has a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It screens on Friday, April 12th at 8:15 p.m. Next up is a movie that got a lot of buzz at this year's Sundance Film Festival, and that is Thelma. I've seen this film described as being like a comedic Mission Impossible. If Tom Cruise was swapped out for a woman in her 90s, and the mission was to get back at a telephone scammer. It stars the legendary June Squibb alongside an impressive ensemble that includes the White Lotuses, Fred Hetchinger, Richard Roundtree, Parker Posey, Clark Gregg, and Malcolm McDowell. Thelma is directed by Josh Margolin. It screens on Saturday, April 13th at 7:20 p.m. Now onto a movie from a Kansas City filmmaker, and that's Ruta Fuera de la Frontera, which is also known as Out of the Plains. This movie has dialogue in both Spanish and English, and it's described as a modern-day Western. The movie highlights the aftermath of a shooting of an immigrant alongside a small-town highway in Kansas. The film was written and directed by Eric Atwood, a Kansas City-based filmmaker who sadly passed away in December of 2021. This was his first feature. It will be screened on Thursday, April 11th at 7:15 p.m. One more festival favorite that will find its way to Kansas City is No Right Way. This comes to you from first-time director Chelsea Bow. The comedy drama is loosely based on her real-life experiences and tells the story of Georgie, a tween who finds herself thrust into the guardianship of her half-sister Harper. It screens on Saturday, April 13th at 4 p.m. Next up, we've got Wholesome Grove, which was directed by Kansas City area filmmaker Eric Willis. This movie was shot in Kansas City and St. Joseph. It's about a terminally ill teenager who clashes with a greedy CEO over a patch of forest that the CEO wants to tear down and develop. It's showing on Saturday, April 13th at 1:20 p.m. Coming to you from director Stephen Wallace, The Martini Shot is described as an existential drama about an alien filmmaker as he tries to shoot what he believes will be his final work. The movie's cast has actors you'll know and love, including Matthew Modine, John Cleese, Derek Jacobi, Stuart Townsend, and Fiona Glasscott. The Martini Shot screens on Friday, April 12th at 6:30 p.m. And finally, I'll highlight one last narrative film that comes from a Kansas City filmmaker, and that is called Midwest Skidmark. This comes to you from director Philip Arthur Dixon, and it follows two former college buddies, Justin and Guillermo, who reunite after going their separate ways. After Justin discovers Guillermo has become a bit pretentious, he tempts him with some irresponsible adventure. The movie screens on Saturday, April 13th at 9:20 p.m. Now, in addition to the narrative films, we've got a ton of great documentaries that you can see as part of the festival this year too. Next up, I'll highlight some of the documentary features that we have at this year's fest. The notable academic and activist Temple Grandin is the subject of the documentary An Open Door. Celebrating her life and legacy, including her work advocating for both animal welfare and people with autism, this movie comes to you from director John Alexander Barnhart. It screens on Saturday, April 13th at 1:15 p.m. White Buffalo Presents Voices of the West is a documentary that celebrates the contributions of Native Americans to the origins of American cowboy culture. It features songs from country music star Ian Munsick and is directed by filmmaker Cam Mackey. It will screen on Saturday, April 13th at 12:05 p.m. Garland Jeffries, the king of in-between, profiles the aforementioned singer-songwriter's life and influence, highlighting why the name Garland Jeffries either means nothing to you or everything to you. It's directed by first-time director and wife of Garland, Claire Jeffries, and features interviews with artists such as Bruce Springsteen. It screens on Friday, April 12th at 6:45 p.m. Now, one documentary short that at 45 minutes is almost a feature is called Not Good Enough. This was filmed in the Kansas City area by the filmmaker Chusi Hene Hardin, and it discusses the mental strain that perfectionism plays on young athletes. It was made in partnership with the Kansas City Royals and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of KC. It screens on Saturday, April 13th at 3:20 p.m. And finally, to wrap things up, we'll move on to a documentary that highlights the musical history of Kansas City. That would be I'm So Glad, Kansas City and the Roots of Black Gospel Music, The Untold Story. Over 100 interviews were conducted with various experts and musicians for this film, which traces KC's rich history of Black gospel music. It's directed by Paul Winsky, an award-winning journalist and businessman based in Overland Park. You can screen I'm So Glad on Sunday, April 14th at 1:30 p.m. I've covered a lot of movies that will feature at this year's KC Film Fest, but this is only scratching the surface. There's even more feature films, as well as shorts, that will feature in the days and weeks leading up to this year's festival. And we've got an exciting lineup of events in store for this year's fest, including filmmaker panels, Q&As, and receptions to look forward to. Last year we had 14 sellouts, so make sure to get your tickets early at kcfilmfest.org before they sell out again. See you at the festival!